Bailey to his left.
Jess on his right. Hey, hold up. Don't start a fight. He's got you covered with all the sports. Don't fret, he's wearing shorts. It's time for Waking Jake in the morning. Waking Jake at night. Jake sucks.
Good morning, Bakers. Welcome to Wake and Jake. Happy Thursday morning. Hope everyone's having a good time. We, as we did last week, we are running, I was going to say a special edition, but I guess we did it last week, so that makes it not a special edition. We have a special guest today, Foolish Baseball, Bailey Freeman. We can say that on the internet now?
Yeah, you're allowed to.
Just did.
I love it. Yeah, it's out. Released. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great. Hope y'all are doing great as well.
I'm really excited. We were brainstorming. You know, we did the international team with Joe's McFly last week. We might have I don't want to say a more special guest than you in a couple weeks.
Whew.
But we have something special brewing, but we're thinking, spinning our wheels. And, man, I think we stumbled into the perfect guy to do this. The Bakers remember a couple weeks back I stumbled into a Jose Vidro wormhole where I was like, people don't know Jose Vidro was really good. Like, every time the Yanks played the Expos, it was either like Vlad when he was there or it was Jose Vidro, and he was a switch-hitting second baseman mauler that didn't exist back then. And then we just started reading off kind of classic baseball names. I think the Lieberthal show used to do this. I don't know if they still do, but there is something beautiful about 90s, early 2000 baseball names. Like, it just makes you feel something. I don't know what that emotion is. So, Bailey, I came to you, and I said, well, the Jose Vidro speech I just gave.
Yeah.
But I wanted to do a baseball team draft of guys that are good, but also not like Hall of Fame good, like,
and not even like that tier below, or like Hall of Very Good gets thrown around.
Like no Donnie Baseball,
no Delgado,
right?
Too good.
The guys that you look back and when someone says their name, you're like, this is our measuring stick for this draft. By the way, it's when the name is said, you're like, that guy was good.
That guy.
That guy was a good ball player. The Jose Vidro effect. Bailey, I know we now host some Foolish Baseball garb at the site, so we'll hype that. It looks like you have the hat on right now. Love that. What's going on? I think your most recent video was most important hits in baseball history. That was a couple weeks ago. Do we have one? Can we tease the people with something? Do we have something dropping soon?
Yeah, we have one coming down the pipeline, maybe in a week and a half. And, I'll say this one is about two players, one of which you absolutely know, big star, and one of which you might have forgotten about. So almost kind of like this draft, you'd be like, oh, yeah, that guy,
It's perfect. Timing is everything in life. So excited to see that. If you don't watch Bailey's videos,
you're an idiot.
You probably watch our stuff, which is fine. No, go check it out. Close to 200K subs, Bailey Freeman.
Very close.
Woo!
Very close.
That's awesome, man. Congrats.
Thank you.
When BBD and we had the Jose Vidro discussion a little while back. When I came to you, Bailey, we need to lay out some sort of ground rules. And where we landed was if you haven't been listening, which a lot of my listeners are great at, actually, if you haven't been listening, now is a good time to listen, because these are the rules if you want to play along at home. Some basic ground rules we set up. It has to be someone that we know and you saw play. We said 90s and later. No offense to some of the older baseball players, but I think if we dug out some of the deeper cuts in there, Like, I saw some names that would be like, oh, yeah, like, I thought he was good, but I never really saw him play. That's not as fun. As the example I gave last night was, like, Todd Zeal. If someone really wanted Todd Zeal, I'd be like, oh, yeah, we know Todd. You know, he kind of had the stand-up batting stance, a little first and third. I think Todd Zeal would be a bad pick, not to ruin your guys' boards. But
crap.
So we wanted to keep it under 30 career WAR. I think that's an okay measuring stick. We wanted to no active players, so it has to be a little nostalgia factor. For the pitcher, because we're just going to do one starting pitcher, we wanted to they don't have a top 5 Cy Young finish. I think that's a good challenge. We want a loose rule around that for the hitters. I think we will have some open discussion on it.
I think like when you submit a pick, we'll talk about if that's a legal pick. I've got a couple guys that I think could get vetoed, and I'm comfortable if that's the decision we land on.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'll you know what? I'm going to throw myself under the bus. It was a name that got me excited, but for example, I think this guy would be illegal. Tino Martinez. He was right under 30 career WAR. He has a number 2 MVP season. And I think that's enough to eliminate him. So that's a little bit of the mental scope I have. Bailey, do you agree with that?
I do. I just didn't know he had a number 2 MVP season. I guess that's kind of what changes it for me.
Isn't that nuts? Yeah. He 1 year I think he had racked up like 140 ribbies or something like that.
Wow.
He had a crazy year.
I'll check that out. And then the other caveat, which gentlemen's rules here, is no big injury guys that probably would have been a lot better if their career had gone. The example Bailey used was Grady Sizemore.
Too good.
On the pitcher end, we discussed Brandon Webb.
I just saw another one. Prince Fielder. Yeah. So, gentlemen's rules. I'm sure we'll have a couple discussions around it. We are going to do a snake draft. We're going to do catcher, an AL lineup. Catcher through DH with a starting pitcher, and we will do a snake draft. What I need you to do, Bailey Freeman, is think of a number from 1 to 100. We will write down a number on a piece of paper, and we will do a random generator to select draft order. So
it isn't allowed to be the number 42.
Yeah, 42 is retired here.
Mm-hmm.
We have rules. So I will write it down on this piece of paper.
It's retired not for the reasons you might think. It's just we all kept picking it.
It's a great number. 42 is an all-time number.
For random number generator 1 to 100.
Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy alone, right? And then you get into Jackie Robinson and Rivera. It's a no-brainer.
Mo Vaughn. Okay. So I have written down. I guess, Bailey, what's your number? We wrote down numbers.
I'm going to go with 31.
31. I wrote down 51.
Oh, I went 32.
Guy. Whoa.
Ooh, okay. So I got the under.
Okay. So I will hit the random generator number, 1 to 100. BBD is watching. 17. 17. So, Bailey, if you'd like, you can pick your pick. So if you think you want the wraparound, if you want the one, whatever you're open to.
I'm going to take the wraparound.
Okay. That's a veteran move early.
Mm-hmm.
That's a veteran move early.
We're going to see how this shakes out before I start making picks.
I think especially in this one. I like that. BBD?
And my usual strategy, I don't have a clear 1-1. I don't know what I'm going to do with the pick that I'm about to make, but I'm going to take the number 1 pick because I get a little break.
Yeah, the 2 pick, what's the phrase that Jimmy started using? Just the.
I think he said it was torture.
The torture chamber.
The
torture chamber. The 2 pick, you just have to constantly be thinking, and when you do the double up, you don't always have to be thinking. So, with that, we will be doing our. I labeled it. What did I label it in the notes? These guys were good at baseball team. So we'll see. That's a working title. And this draft is brought to us by Cushy Dreams. You guys probably know Cushy Dreams right now. They've been a huge part of John Boy Media this year. We love them. Promo code Jake for 20% off. You ever mess around with the CBD, Bailey?
I have, actually.
Oh, yeah?
Not the CBD weed, but the CBD As a chemical, yes.
Okay, well, this is the smokable CBD. I mean, they've got actual bud. This is their hustle. They've got pre-roll. They've got everything over there. I always rip off if someone's not in this world yet and they're thinking about it. Like, they have different strains. So they have a relax. They have a create. That might be good for some of those foolish baseball shticks you're putting out there. Hustle, peace, energy. It's worth giving a shot. Like, if you're someone that, you never were in the weed game, and that's fine. It's illegal in a lot of states. CBD is legal in all 50. Give it a shot. If you got an achy knee, if you just want to mix it up and try to create more or whatever you're looking for, trying to get a good night's sleep, CBD could be the solution for you. Go to cushydreams.com, Kushy, promo code Jake, 20% off your next order. So if you've already done it, Jake again, and you're good. If you're looking to get in the game, awesome. Get it for Father's Day. That's coming up soon, so you might have to get Express or do the Dad, I got you something. It's on the way. That's my bad, but it'll be here. So that's Cushy Dreams, promo code Jake. With that, beautiful baby David.
I think I've settled on who I'd like to select.
Okay.
Which is huge because it's my turn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's a big part of it. With the number 1 pick, I think I will be selecting Vernon Wells.
Ooh.
Looked at him for sure.
Okay. And
when I first came across his name on doing my research at 1:30 last night,
sure,
I thought he was going to be too good. I think he weirdly fell into the niche we're looking for.
Man,
and he plays center field, which is big.
That is big.
Yeah, and so Bailey, I should have said that. Outfield, we kind of have gentleman's rules normally, but your guy kind of has to play that position. Corner outfield has some flex. Yeah,
right fielder can go to.
You got to picture this team on the field.
Yes, exactly. So a mistake I made was not getting a spreadsheet out to track this. So I will do that. BBD, Jakib. Little inside story about me. If I ever did create a player, I used to name them Jakib. Jakiib.
IIB.
Yeah. So
first name?
I guess I'm just putting everything out there. Yeah. Jakib's story was usually the play. Less letters. Soccer team used to call me Jakib.
I like that.
We just made dumb nicknames. Isn't young a special time? Bailey, I'll let you talk about being young for the next 20 minutes.
Yeah. Well, being young, you're spring chicken. You wake up in the morning, you feel great, you're ready to seize the day, and you're filled with a romantic irrationality. And I think that's what makes being young such a powerful thing.
Boring.
We should try to hold on to it, not relinquish it.
You're honestly so right. That was beautiful.
Thank you.
And BBD, Vernon Wells is kind of the epitome of this draft. If you watched the Toronto Blue Jays play while Vernon Wells was, one of their best players, he was really good. Really good. I know Yankee fans kind of got a little bad taste of Vernon Wells at the end of his career, but they got a good taste right in the middle there. So that's a fantastic pick. I like the position.
I'm really happy that's where we landed because I'm not sure. I went with names I liked with kind of the rest of my board.
Okay. Yeah, I think premium positions are going to be something I'll be targeting, and center field is definitely one of those.
And this is an interesting one. No, that guy's good value. I think I can get him a little later. You know what? Positions. I think positions are important. You want to get a guy that you like, that you believe in. I think with that, I am going to go. No, I can't do that. Yankee fans will be so mad at me for that.
I think I know who a guy you thought of.
You know what? No, I think I found my guy. Let me just make sure he never had too many good years. Yes, I had a great conversation about this player the other day. He was a stud for some really good teams for like a 6-7 year span, which was one of the other guidelines I kind of laid out. This guy is an all-time baseball name. I am taking a third baseman. I am taking Edgar Alfonso.
who's absolutely on my board.
Yeah, I mean, he's a sex symbol, a baseball player, all of it. For 6 years, I think he was a 380 on base guy. And I was talking to a Mets fan the other day, and obviously Piazza gets all the love and deserves a lot of love, but the Mets fan was saying, like that I'm just labeling him Mets fan. He was saying that, like, if you watch any Piazza highlight, you will see Edgar Alfonso on base in front of him. Like, he sets up every moment, so I'm happy with that.
I like that.
All right, so that brings it to me, right? And I have to turn.
Sir. So you have the double.
Okay. Trying to think how I want to do this. Okay. First pick, I'm going to make, if there's a weakness this player has, I think it's the name. The name is a little on the generic side. However, I think he makes up for it with his play, and that is going to be Brian Roberts, who's going to play second base for me. Brian Roberts had some amazing years. He had 50 doubles twice in a season. He also had the 50 steal season, a 40 steal season. Good OBP guy.
Yeah.
And at 29.5 WAR, I mean, he just comes just under it. I remember when he played, I feel like there's a whole narrative about like his vision. I don't know if you all remember that. Like, he had contact, struggled, got LASIK, had like a career year. I think that was Brian Roberts, but yeah, that's going to be my pick for the first round.
I always love
Brian Roberts as second base.
I always love a good LASIK guy.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I love the LASIK guys, the non-sleep guy, the sleep apnea guys. Those stories are always fantastic. And then I feel like we used to do the ADD medicine guys. Like, I think that was an Adam LaRoche thing for a little bit, but I don't know if that's out or what the rules are on that. But no, Brian Roberts was a problem when he was a stud. I mean, he was like your dream leadoff 2-hole hitter. So I love it. You get the double.
If I can chime in on Brian Roberts,
sure.
I'm ashamed of myself for not having him on my board.
Wow.
I liked him a lot as a kid who played second base because they weren't good. He was a guy I liked a lot, and the Yankees played him a lot. Did cool stuff. I like Brian Roberts.
I love it.
It's a great pick.
I love it.
Thanks. Appreciate it. All right. And then for my turn, I'm going to go ahead and pick my starting pitcher. Can I do that?
Yes, you can.
Okay.
I'm interested. I'll put it all out there. I'm currently eyeing starting pitchers, so.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and pick Ben Sheets as my starting pitcher.
That's great.
I was a huge Ben Sheets fan. Ben Sheets had I think an 18 strikeout game against the Braves. It was 17 or 18. And then he also finished his career with the Braves. That was the last team he played for in the majors. Another fun Ben Sheets fact is that he's an Olympic gold medalist.
Huge.
He played for Team USA at Sydney in 2000 before he made the majors. So my starting pitcher is going to be Ben Sheets.
I mean, it's a great baseball name. You followed up Brian Roberts with that. And yeah, if you watch baseball in that era, you remember when Ben Sheets came up, it was almost like I don't want to say a Kerry Wood effect, but it kind of felt like that. Like, NL Central guy, big strikeout days. You were in for a bad time if Ben Sheets was on the mound. That's a good pick. That's a good pick. I mean, now what I'm questioning is, if I take a starting pitcher now, that leaves BBD with the open starting pitcher. You could save that to the end. But you also want to get a guy you like, and I know how much.
It's a guy you like.
I know how much BBD likes Steve Traxel. You know what? I think I'm going to do it. I always loved this guy. He seemed like a fantasy lock. He seemed like a big game pitcher to me. Another big boy. I will double check to make sure he fits the requirements. Yes, he does. I am taking Matt Kane of the San Francisco Giants. His name came up pretty early because if you search from 30 WAR down, he's like a 29. So that was a part of it. But, I mean, Matt Kane, when I think of good Giants teams, I think of Matt Kane. He walked away with 2 rings, 8 playoff starts, a 2.1 ERA. He was a dude. He was a dude.
Yeah.
Kind of got one up by that Mad Bum guy. If I'm remembering those years correctly, I think so.
There were definitely years where Matt Kane was better, though, I think.
I like
so,
that.
I mean, he was a big game pitcher for sure.
I assume
as well as Matt
prime
Bunn.
Lincecum years too.
Timmy.
Between the two of them, he was never
a good overshadow guy. So, okay, so Brian Roberts, Ben Sheets, Matt Kane will be my starting pitcher. And now BB Doubles, you are up.
Okay. I'm in. Oh, okay. All right. I found the pitcher I'm going to take later.
Wow, writes it down.
Save that.
Just flexing on us mid-draft.
All right, I'm pretty stoked about that. All right, I've got. This is the first pick. I think I would not object at all if you veto this.
Okay.
Paul Konerko. He has
he
a
was
top
so
5
borderline for me.
MVP season, like some All-Star years, and the vibe is better, but somehow he didn't rack up that much WAR when I did the research.
Konerko's an interesting one. I mean, he was as consistent was.
I think if we did this again in 5 years, we'd know more how history remembers him. But I remember him for being like really fucking good and made a lot of all-star teams and stuff. So I'm comfortable with the veto if we want to.
He has like 440 career home runs or something like that. I did look at him when I was doing my research. I would give him a non-veto.
I have other first basemen if we want to go there. I wouldn't take them yet.
You know what?
I'm looking at the type of first baseman I have, and
I'm fine with it.
I'm fine with it.
I'm fine with it. I mean, I think a lot of baseball fans know Paul Konerko, and he's got one or two standout years. Outside of that, he was Paul Konerko. Like, you were getting, high 20s homers. He's a good right-handed bat. No, I think Paul Konerko plays.
Yeah. How huge is it that the White Sox went from Paul Konerko to Jose Abreu just like that? I mean, you just get a good season every year at that position for 20 years. It's pretty great.
Especially our Yanks this year at first base have been pitcherish, trying to be hitters. So, the committee looked at it, and it's allowed, BBD.
Okay.
Paul Konerko and Vernon Wells. I mean, that feels like a fantasy baseball team I had.
And I think I'm about to add another name.
Okay.
To your former fantasy team. I'm gonna take a shortstop. Michael Young.
Ooh, Mikey's under.
Yeah.
Yeah, he is.
Never finished higher than 8th in an MVP race.
Okay.
WAR does not like his defense. That's why he's under.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
but boy, could he hit.
Michael Young is a incredible hitter. We looked at the stats one day. How many hits? I mean, 2,300 hits is insane. Yeah, no, I mean, I think that's a great pick, BBD.
Yeah. I think history, played at the same time as Jeter and those other shortstops, so I think people kind of have forgotten about him, which is kind of the vibe I went for with most of my board. Just a guy you would have forgotten about. If you recall the Instagram videos I used to do, that was basically all those were guys I thought about too much.
I like that. No, that's a great pick. Okay. Positions. There's a couple positions on the baseball field I like a lot. And I want to focus there. God, scrolling through some of these names is so fantastic. I mean, Matty Alou. God, that does something for me. You know what? This guy is another pushing the boundaries of WAR. He's an incredible baseball name. Some of his young years, I think the stolen bases would surprise people. Always loved watching him play. I am taking center fielder Marquise Grissom.
That was definitely on my board. That's a great pick.
I mean, I didn't think the name factor was going to be huge on my team. I guess Matt Kane doesn't play that game, but Marquise Grissom and Edgar Alfonso has given me some feel, so I'm happy with that.
Mm-hmm. Marquise Grissom had like back-to-back seasons with 70+ steals.
Yeah,
which is insane.
91 and 92, which is funny because we all probably picture 2,000 plus Marquise Grissom, or at least 97 plus Marquise Grissom.
Yeah.
Who was a solid, does he have a 2020 season in there? Yeah. But, 78 and 76 steals for Marquise Grissom. How about it? 29.6 career WAR. So, again, a slightly lazy, right under 31. But I checked the center field box, so I'm happy with that.
Marquise Grissom also made the final out of the 95 World Series, won by my beloved Atlanta Braves. He caught that final fly out. So that's another Marquise Grissom fun fact. And I think his son plays for like Georgia Tech.
Ooh, so
there's a Marquise Grissom Jr. We might get that on the Blue Jays in a few years.
Yeah, I mean, that's
inevitable.
I had kind of a mad thought on the couch last night after Bo Bichette homered, and I was just like, nobody else thought to grab the alumni kids. They all had to go to the Blue Jays.
Well,
wasn't one other savvy team out there? Come on, Diamondbacks. Sorry, that was on my chest. Bailey, you have the double.
Oh, okay. What fun! I'm gonna go. This is a tricky spot. I'm gonna go with my center fielder. Well, I could wait on that though. And because you have Wells. Okay, so I'm gonna wait on that then.
I'll give you the warning. Somebody might still grab him and slide an outfielder to another spot. I fell into that trap yesterday.
That would be
I could
tricky.
talk about it with Bellinger.
Just trust your heart, is what
I'm gonna trust my heart. I think this is kind of like an ultimate. Oh yeah, that guy was really good when he pops into your head type of name. So I'm gonna go for that. I'm gonna pick at catcher, Carlos Ruiz.
Chooch.
Oh
yeah.
Chooch was in the game for me.
Yeah. Carlos Ruiz. I did go look at like his. I know we're using Baseball Reference. I did go look at some of his Fangraphs stuff just to see the framing. It's not great. It's not great. However, he had some just crazy offensive seasons with the Phillies, and every time I think of Carlos Ruiz and I think of like the good Phillies teams, I'm like, that guy was such a key part of it, and we all remember, Rollins and Hamels and how all these guys, but I mean, Carlos Ruiz was an absolute like force of nature at his best.
Yeah.
Didn't debut until 27, which I didn't know. Looking at his page now.
Yeah, I mean,
I guess he was never the premier catcher, so only got one All-Star nod. Yeah.
Yeah, man. I know a couple dogs named Chooch. Friends from Philly that enjoyed baseball in that era. So that's always kind of a weird thing. Like, I guess it's nice. I guess it's better. I guess a nickname is better than their human name.
Yeah.
Like Jeter to Chooch. Is that the new 30-30, Jeter to Chooch?
Yeah, the Jeter to Chooch pipeline.
I think so.
I think if you're going, it's got to be not like literally their name. Then it gets a little weird.
Okay, that's a great pick, Bailey. I had the three catchers I was eyeing. Chooch was one of them. I think I have. Well, no, I don't need to tease that. You have
There's good catchers.
You have the second. You have the follow-up pick, Bailey, the wraparound.
Excellent. Okay. I'm going to go for, and I don't know if this is a guy who, when I say the name, you're going to be like instantly like that guy was great or anything like that. But it's one of those, you go back, you look at the numbers and you're like, wow, this guy had some monster seasons. Richard Hidalgo, mostly known for his years with the Houston Astros. And he had two just monster seasons in 2000, height of the steroid era, so really high run environment. He had an OPS over 1,000 in 153 games. And then in 2003, he had a season that was almost as good as that. So, and he was also a pretty solid defender in right field, which is what I'm drafting him for positionally. So yeah, that's what I'm going to go for at the turn here. And the reason I'm picking him is because I have other right fielders on my board, but I don't think any of them are just quite as good as him, to be honest.
Okay.
Yeah, the peak you can get with him.
Richard Hidalgo. Yeah, I mean, I think that's a name that I think more baseball people should know. Like, I think when you say, Marquise Grissom, Brian Roberts, Paul Konerko, I think a lot of baseball ears chirp up. If you're at the local Wrigleyville bar and you say some of those names, I think a baseball fan. Richard Hidalgo goes under under the carpet a little. That's not a phrase, but yeah. How about 44 homers, 122 ribeyes in 2000? That's nuts.
It's unbelievable.
That's nuts. God. And then a couple years later, 28 ding-dongs. Yeah, I mean, for a 4-year stretch, he had a 895 OPS. That's a good pick. I don't remember him defensively. Was he anything? He rates out okay?
I think he's just perfectly acceptable, and there's a lot of corner outfielders I looked at who are below perfectly acceptable defensively.
I think a lot of the guys that end up getting picked here, a lot of why their WAR didn't rack up is because of the defense.
For sure.
Well, and that's where, not to copycat Bailey, there's a guy I stumbled into that I'm shocked his WAR isn't higher because I remember him being very good defensively, but again, analytics over time doesn't always remember guys that way. I am also going to go with right field, and he has 1 year that if you guys wanna question it, I'll be open to it, but I think you guys should be fine. I'm going to take Jermaine Dye.
Yeah, he's a strong pick.
Only 20 career WAR.
Really?
Defensively, he grades out terrible, and I remember him having a fantastic arm, but I guess
if that's the only tool you've got, that doesn't save the whole.
That would make a lot of sense. Like, he won a Gold Glove in 2000. Let's see if he graded out well that year defensively. Not really.
I know at one point there was people used to write articles about historically Gold Gloves don't actually go to good defenders. They just go to guys that hit well.
Had a good arm.
And
he might
had a good arm, made some highlights.
And he had an injury, so there was there's maybe an injury argument there. He had that crazy foul ball off the leg. And then 2006, which, he's 32, kind of the back end of his career, he had a massive season where he was 5th in the MVP. So that was a borderline caveat.
I
think if Mike Konerko picks legal, that's legal.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, also, Jermaine Dye, he had the game-winning hit in Game 4 of the 2005 World Series.
We're a clutch team.
That's another pretty cool thing, yeah.
We're a clutch team. Matt Kane, Jermaine Dye, I mean, that's what you want. BBD.
My next pick, I'm going to, similar to both of your last rounds, I'm going to also take a World Series winner who's beloved by the team. I think he's still liked.
Heroics.
He will be playing left field for me. I'm going to take Pat Burrell.
Pat the Bat. All-time stories. Could be a slide to DH later.
Yeah,
I don't know
I
don't know how BBD's drafting, but
yeah, I mean, I do think.
Pat Burrell.
However, I think it's going to turn into me taking 4 outfielders, especially since I've taken 4 in the first 2 in the first 4 rounds.
Okay. We'll see how it maps out.
Me showing my hand there, but that's the game.
Pat the Bat, man. That's a good pick.
Yeah, it's a little boring.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
And we're getting real.
I mean, maybe I'm saying that as just someone who grew up a fan of, watching a lot of NL East baseball. Yeah. Pat Burrell was just so ubiquitous. So he's strong in that sense, but also when you said this draft, I was like, oh yeah, Pat Burrell's one of these guys,
Yeah. And I'm comfortable with that. I didn't realize he had so many years substantially above average by OPS plus and stuff. Looking at Baseball Reference.
He's a true slugger.
I thought he had a shorter peak than he did.
Pat Burrell is a true slugger. Some stories that probably won't age well over time, but good for Pat the Bat.
And then on my wraparound here, I was surprised this guy qualified because he had such a long career. And maybe it's defensive stuff not holding up in hindsight.
By the way, BBD, your team right now is literally a fantasy baseball team I had. Mm-hmm. Konerko, Michael Young, Pat the Bat, and Vernon Wells.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm sorry for interrupting you, but I was having PTSD over
and I'm at another guy.
Good.
Cause I think you can tell where my baseball memories lie, whatever.
Sure.
I'm going to go to the catcher spot.
Okay.
I was surprised this guy qualified. Defensive stuff is probably what's holding him back. I don't have any memories of him either way defensively. Jason Varitek.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I didn't even know he qualified.
Yeah, I was very surprised. On Baseball Reference, he has a 24.2 WAR, and Fangraphs is what I used to sort to get like my first round of stuff, and it was below 30. I don't remember what the number was. Most of the guys' Fangraphs was a little more favorable. Actually, it was a bad split.
Everything you want in a catcher, man. I mean, team leader. Obviously, we're Yankees fans, so there's a lot of bad emotions towards Veritek when you're that age watching baseball, but. Switch hitter, good hitter. You know, if he was in a big spot, you didn't want to see him up there. Yeah. Is he going to be a coach? Wasn't there rumors on that?
I think
he's just going to take the Red Sox job if Cora falls out.
I think he's an assistant of some sort with the Red Sox right now. I thought I saw him in the dugout when they played. But
Jason Veritek.
2 weeks ago.
Okay.
I think I remember like when the Cora stuff happened, he said like, I'll take it, but only if you promise to replace me with Cora in a year. And it's like, I don't think they can say that's what they want to do.
He's currently the game planning coordinator for the
like
Sox. So
that's a
real
real
huge.
title that's existed for a while.
Hit, run, catch, win. Game plan coordinator. Great picks, BBD. Veritek was on my board. You guys have your catchers, so I will now wait on that strategery, as they call it in the biz. Okay, let's get I'm weak up the middle right now, but I found a left fielder that I am in love with. No, wait, Jake, wait. Don't shoot your wad. Okay, I found my guy. This guy was a little bit of a late bloomer at the shortstop position. I remember him being a fairly big prospect. It didn't click, and then it did click with the Detroit Tigers. I am taking at shortstop Carlos Guillen. Switch hitter. I like that. I'm assuming defensively he didn't rate out. Oh, no, he didn't rate out poorly. But just
probably just the late bloom.
Took a little while for his bat to kick in, but from age 28 to 32, 308, 377, and 870 OPS at shortstop. Switch hitting.
And that's in Detroit too,
yeah.
Right? So it's a tough ballpark.
Los Tigres. So yeah, I'm okay. I'm happy with it. I wasn't locked in my board coming in, but like him. Carlos Guillen, I'll write that in the sheet. Foolish.
Okay, I'm going to go for my... Well, I can still... Okay, I could risk it by continuing to wait for this center fielder who could get snatched into a corner spot. Okay, who I'm definitely going to pick is... I'm going to pick Ryan Klesko. It's a good baseball name, Clasco. I mean, that's a great baseball name. And he's going to play probably first base for me. He could slide over to that DH. We'll see. So I would say pencil in for first base. And Ryan Klesko, best known for playing with the Braves as well as the Padres. Slugger. He slugged 500 for his career. And that was across 16 seasons. 278 home runs. And that's tough because he played about half his career with the Padres in a not so homer-friendly park. Yeah, I mean, this guy, he could hit. And, yeah, I mean, he's kind of the best answer you can give to, like, a Paul Konerko is Ryan Klesko.
There is a guy, and so I still have first base open, and WAR-wise, he doesn't rate out anywhere close to Klesko, and I wonder if it's just defensively. But no, man, I mean, Klesko was a problem. And it's a really good baseball reference page. I mean, he averaged from 95 to 03, which again, that feels like two different eras of baseball almost. An 892 OPS, pretty much 30 homers a year and 34 doubles. Like, yeah, Klesko's a great pick. He was on my board.
Great player. Okay, for my follow-up pick, I'm going to go for, in left field, Mr. Jason Bay.
Wow.
He was on my board.
Mets legend.
Yeah, Mets legend Jason Bay. Also a Mariners legend, which I didn't really remember, but now that I'm looking at his baseball reference page, he was also a Mariners legend and a Padres legend. But yeah, Jason Bay, I mean, it's kind of like the Clasco version of a left fielder. Does he offer much defensive value? No, but you just get a really good bat in there, and Jason Bay was a really good hitter. And I think when we're talking about that, 7-year stretch, he definitely had that. Yeah. And I don't think all the players I have that, but he definitely had that.
Yeah. BBD, any Jason Bay thoughts? I saw you.
Yeah, he came up in my crowdsourcing /
Oh wow!
I didn't crowdsource.
Wow.
I was looking
Scouting
Fangraphs. Yeah, if I was gonna walk away with either him or Pat Burrell.
Okay. Yeah,
I really liked him. He finishes just under, not because of injuries, but because of just Mets.
Yeah, he got Mets'd a little bit. No, it's a
defense.
It's a perfect example of how sick this sport is. I mean, 3 out of 4 years, 05 to 08, he had 30-plus homers, 100 ribbies. Like, that's such a good baseball player. That's nuts. Like, to do that for one season, never mind to repeat it, which he did like 3 or 4 times. Yeah, and it sucks that he kind of gets remembered how he does because of a contract that didn't work out at the end. Yeah. But Jason Bay was good.
Red Sox year was nuts.
Great job, Bailey. I have another guy who's got one borderline season. He's a guy that I bring up all the time, and I think his peak maybe doesn't match some of these guys, but the duration of it and just every time you played this team, this guy was going to be a problem. He was going to hit a double at left field, and if you guys want to quench it, you can. He has a 4 in the MVP. Nothing else is even close to that for 1 year. Garrett Anderson. Garrett Anderson. He has a 25 career WAR.
A lot of hits, if I recall correctly.
A lot of hits. Let's see where he landed hits-wise. 25 hundy. He's a little bit of an accumulator. I mean, he kind of has no bad seasons. I mean, if you obviously go by OPS, there's lower years and there's down years. Let's see if I sort by that. His worst season is 2009 when he was 37. He had a 705 OPS. His highest was an 885 OPS. So it was never out of control, but man, if you played that Angels team, like Garrett Anderson was going to hit a double in the gap that scored a run. So I'm taking him, and I have a DH that I think I'm going to take that has pretty low WAR, and I think it's going to balance any of my controversy with that. So
Garrett, I remember those Yankees and Angels teams faced off a few times. Garrett Anderson was somehow always the guy I was like most scared of. I mean, he came through every time.
I don't want to
in my memory.
Don't want to give picks away, but it was like Figgins and Eckstein were a trouble, and Garrett, Gloss, Salmon, like those teams were good.
For me, like the first player I looked at when you talked about like doing this draft was Darren Erstad, and he has just over 30 WAR. But Darren Erstad had like a crazy season. I think it was 2000, where just you wouldn't believe the numbers if you saw him. But so yeah, Erstad, and there's just a lot of those guys on those Angels teams that definitely could qualify for a draft like this.
Bailey, you know I love getting a little stoned, and then once a month I'll send you a weird DM that says like maybe this could be a thing you do. Those Angels teams, because you mentioned Erstad in that ilk, Troy Gloss. And so if you're a person that's a baseball fan and maybe you're not too far into WAR, or if you're just a general sports fan, like Troy Gloss has a 38 career WAR. He has some mammo seasons, back-to-back 40-homer seasons. From 2000 to 2006, he had an 887 OPS at the hot corner. Like, obviously
Yeah.
wasn't strong defensively, but that's an incredible ball player, and I think it's now funny that him and Erstad are both just out of reach, because those teams were so good with, like, good ball players, but not Hall of Fame, oh my God, ball players.
Yeah, they didn't have Mike Trout. You know, it was just really good top to bottom.
Okay, so good pick by me still. We're still celebrating that.
I think strong pick, yeah.
Perfect. BBD.
And I am going to one of his teammates. I felt really
wow.
bad that you mentioned him because I'm going to go there. I'm taking Sean Figgins.
Okay.
And it gives me some versatility and some options in the late game if I'm not cornered
Okay.
in. So I'll slot him into third base for now. But just a menace to have to play against. Again, when the Yankees and those Angels teams played each other, just a menace. Anytime you played against him in the video games, he was like, it was like cheating to be able to use him. Just steal a bunch of bases, be fast.
Great video game player.
You can play him wherever you want.
And man, how about this? Led the league in walks in 2009.
I have a stat for that.
Yeah.
Are you ready for it?
Let's see.
Okay, so there's 5 players with 100 walks and 40 steals in a season since integration. One of them is Sean Figgins. The others are Bobby Abreu, Joe Morgan, Ricky Henderson, and Barry Bonds. Those are the only 5 players since integration to have 100 walks and 40 steals in a season. And I think if there's any like sort of Sean Figgins thing, he has kind of the Jason Bay problem where he went to Seattle and it just wasn't any good and they paid a bunch of money for him. But I mean, yeah, absolute beast of a player. And, you know, speed and steals, you know, hard to come by in this draft.
Yeah.
So I think it's a very strong pick for that reason as well.
Some versatility. We'll see if BBD uses
Defense.
that. And he's Bailey, you mentioned, and sorry to all our Seattle fans that are getting pooped on for no reason right now. There's guys in sports when you know they leave that team, it's over.
Yeah, that's
Sean
for sure.
Figgins was like the Angels and Magic and the single that got through. And, yeah, I mean, his Seattle numbers are awful.
Such a drop.
So, BBD, you get LAA, Sean Figgins. And your second pick.
My second pick, I'm hoping this will make Mariners fans feel a little better. I think I'm going to take a DH who I can move to the outfield if I need to later.
Okay.
I know who this is.
Raulaban.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's like one of the classic late bloomers, more homers in his 40s than his 20s. Just a fun stat. And
Banez.
yeah, a lot of homers. Awful defense if I have to put him in the outfield, but
yeah.
Sure.
Well, Ibanez, he has like over 2,000 career hits, and he didn't really get going until he was like 29, which is insane. And another fun thing with Raul Ibanez that you just alluded to is, you know, if you're ever bored, you can just Google the phrase Raul Ibanez takes pride in his defense. And you'll find a lot of interesting stuff if you Google the phrase Raul Ibanez takes pride in his defense. So I would say check that out as well.
I love it. BBD, great picks. Great picks. Love your fantasy team of my fantasy team used to be named the T-Ball and Trojans, and I'm looking at the T-Ball and Trojans right now. So there's a little more inside information about me. I guess I didn't realize I was going to reveal so much today. What I'm going to do, man, I think I want to get a second baseman this round. Brian Roberts is off the board. You guys, the other positions I need are kind of blocked off a little bit. So I like this guy. Is he too good? No, I don't think so. All right, should I go with speed or pop? I've got Guillen. I kind of need pop.
It would be funny if at this point you just picked Jose Vidro.
Well,
after he was the basis for this.
I almost took him 1-1 for that reason until I stumbled into Vernon Wells.
I actually should have said that. I think there should be a no Jose Vidro rule. I think that's beautiful. Because otherwise I'm kind of an absolute idiot for not taking him. He's still playing. God, there's a couple good names on here.
Second base was
Second base is the best name
position.
area. Oh my God.
I guess it's not that surprising if you think about the logic behind
Makes
why
sense,
it is.
and you always fall in love with the second baseman. Okay. At second base, I'm not going to take him. You know what? Screw it. I am going to take a guy that is going to be an interesting baseball reference for my kids to look at. 2 years of production you don't see at the second base position. Friends of my friend, Trevor Plouffe. I'm taking Brian Dozier.
Yeah, I definitely looked at him.
I'm taking Brian Dozier. I mean, 42 bombs from a second baseman. Like, that doesn't happen. Followed it up with 34. I mean, 28 the year before that makes him seem like a slouch. And it's, again, another definition of how quickly baseball moves. I mean, you know, for 5 years, he was kind of a slugger. And then things kind of fell off around that. There were so many good second base choices, but I'll take Daddy Dozier.
Yeah. Do we all have second baseman now?
I still don't have my second baseman.
Yet.
So I'm okay. So my last two picks are going to be at second base.
There are so many good names there.
There's good names.
I guess I can take another
sure.
third baseman too, but second base feels like a position I
It's
can
a good
just
name
straight up
festival.
take.
I'm excited for whoever you take. Foolish?
Ooh, okay. Do I have 2 picks in a row? Is that how this works?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I think it's your
Okay.
second to
So
last
good,
set.
just checking in.
Yeah, no, good update.
We're almost at the end of the
Good
draft.
update.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to go. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab third base and shortstop here at the turn. I don't think I have those two positions yet. So for my third baseman, I'm going to pick Melvin Mora. And I kind of like that he can be in the same team as Brian Roberts because they definitely overlapped in Baltimore. But Melvin Mora, he had some years for sure. None better than 2004. 2004, he hit 340, 419 on base percentage, which led the AL, and then he slugged 562. Silver Slugger. Yeah, I think Melvin Moore is definitely a good player just to have in terms of you don't really think of him that much, but then when you hear the name Melvin Moore, you're like, yep, that guy was really good.
His 2 peak Baltimore years are, 9 OPS guy. They could move him around. He was Melvin Moore is a perfect. Good alliteration in the name.
Mm-hmm.
I love that.
Yeah. It's a strong one.
Okay. I said I was gonna pick shortstop.
Okay.
But I'm gonna swap around a little bit here. I'm not gonna pick a shortstop. I'm gonna pick a DH/first baseman. This will be basically interchangeable with Clasco and the team. It won't really matter. But when you said you had a low WAR DH you wanted to pick, Jake, I got a little bit nervous.
Oh, I think
a little bit. I was planning on saving this guy for the whole draft, but just to be safe, I'm gonna make sure I get him because I love him. Nick Johnson is gonna be my DH.
Okay.
Huge Nick Johnson fan. He struggled a lot with injuries, but he was a great, classic early Washington Nationals player / late Expo, just like Vidro. And the thing with Nick Johnson is just he had a 399 career on base percentage. And it's like, at that point, you can basically do no wrong in my eyes. So I'm going to take Nick Johnson. He only had 14 career WAR, but that's my pick.
Yeah, you get when I was constructing, I thought he might be too injured, but I think the numbers probably would have bared out about the same. I think we'd look at him pretty similarly. I think it's a legal pick, is what I'm getting.
For sure.
It's a great.
I think it's the vibe I'm going for.
One of my sister's favorite players, and like you alluded to, a little ahead of his time. Like Nick Johnson would be appreciated a lot more today. A little bit of the injury.
And he bat leadoff.
Yeah, right. Nick Martini, get out of here. Nick Johnson. No, that's a good pick. My guy is a little pre-Nick Johnson. I don't think you guys would have him on your board. I only thought of him because when you said Ryan Klesko, Ryan Klesko and this guy are different, but I always used to look at them and say, like, they remind me of similar ball players. I can't believe how low his WAR is for having a really nice offensive career. I'm going to take David Segee. David Segee, if you're not familiar, all name team, switch hitter. He's got a bunch of seasons. He has like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. He's got almost 10 seasons with an 800-plus OPS, 10 career WAR with a negative 12 D WAR. So I guess in the field he was pretty bad, but that's why I'll DH him. I always wondered why people didn't like David Segee more at the time.
It's a great name. I think we should probably start there in terms of evaluating the pick. And I think it's a great off-the-board pick as well. Like you said, he was a little before BBD and I's time. I know who he is, but it's like just a consistently really good hitter. And if we're talking about late-round picks, your wheelhouse guy is David Segee, mine's Nick Johnson. I think it's a good strategy.
David Segee, career. This is a 15-year career. 291, 359, 802 OPS.
It's pretty great.
15 years. What? So, okay, flaunt my pick again. BBD, 2 picks.
With 2 picks.
With 3
it's
to
my
go
last
for you.
wraparound.
Yeah.
I had this guy on my board. I thought he played more center field than he really did. So he will slot into my right field slot rather smoothly.
Okay.
I'm going to take Alex Rios.
I saw Rios. So that kicks Ibanez to DH.
Yeah, keep him at DH. I would assume he grades out as a plus defender in right field. And he can play some center as well. I'm assuming he grades out well in right because he played 427 games in center. Which ain't nothing. And the last on my wraparound, unless we've got some Alex Rios discourse.
I was just gonna say, I think the seasons Alex Rios was really good. That was like main fantasy baseball time for me. He had his breakout year, and then the follow-up year was good, so there was that. And then he waits a few years for another really big year with the White Sox. But
he had kind of a second act out there.
Yeah, it's a good pick.
And on the second pick here, I think I would pick a different guy at second base if I'm just trying to construct the best team. But I'd like to add a little more name factor to my roster, and I don't think Dan Ugla.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
I get that.
A big part of my heart wanted to end up with Disco Neal.
Ooh.
But
Disco Neal Walker, that's too soon.
Yeah, it just happened.
That's too soon. Okay, those are good picks, BBD. The second base pool, I almost can't wait till this is done to discuss some of the names in there because it's
there's definitely some names.
Ridiculous. Okay, so let's see. I need a first baseman and a catcher. I know who my catcher is going to be, so I'll just do that one first. I'm going to take Mike Lieberthal. Couple Phillies greats in this draft go. Mike Lieberthal was just consistently solid for a long time. I had some numbers up before. He played 14 years.
Wow.
And yeah, he's got one blowout year, a 914 OPS, which again for a catcher, but every other year he was pretty much, mid sevens to low eights, and he just did his thing for those Phillies teams. So I like Mike Lieberthal. Okay, get off my back about it.
Yeah, I mean, I was ready to just attack you for that pick, but you said to get off your back. I was like, okay, I will.
And I think someone that maybe we all eliminated at the catcher position was Javi Lopez. He was just under, but
I didn't even realize he was under.
I assumed he was.
He had a massive year. He had a 44 homer year that I think was top 5 MVP.
Is that still the single season catcher record?
It might. Yeah, I think it might be. So, okay, so the catchers are closed off. Foolish, you have your 2 out of 3 to go, unless I missed a pick by you.
Yeah, I think am I wrapping up here?
This
Is that
is
what we're
it.
doing?
Final two.
So who did I miss? I have Ruiz, Klesko, Roberts. Did you take a shortstop?
I haven't picked a shortstop yet. I think I'm picking shortstop here, and I'm picking what's the other center field?
I didn't write in Nick Johnson. My bad. Yeah, you need shortstop and center field.
Yeah, that's kind of weird that it turned out that way, because I think I said at the beginning of this I'd be targeting premium positions, and here I am ending on shortstop and center field. Okay, so I'll pick center field first, and my center fielder, and I feel like it was very important that I got this guy because Jake, you got Grissom, and BBD, you got Sean Figgins. I needed a base stealer, and so I'm gonna go with Michael Bourne as my center fielder.
I love him.
Yeah, he was just so fun to watch. Michael Bourne led his respective league in stealing 3 years in a row, 61 steals, 52 steals, 61 steals again. Did it with pretty good ratios. He wasn't an amazing hitter by any means, but he was good defensively in center field. He won a Gold Glove there, I think. If not, yes, he won 2 Gold Gloves there, and they were fairly deserved. He had some good seasons by the metrics defensively. So yeah, my center fielder is going to be Michael Bourne. There was another player I was looking at from that era that was pretty similar, I'll say. And then for shortstop, just to finish up, I'm going to go with Rich Aurelia, who I think is definitely a good name recognition guy. When you say Rich Aurelia, people are like, "Oh yeah, I remember that guy." And the thing about Rich Aurelia is he basically was just a very normal average player for most of his career. I feel like most people remember him for being a Giant. I'm looking at his baseball reference page. He did play for other teams besides the Giants, but I only remember him as a Giant. But in 2001, Rich Aurelia just had one of those monster years. It was the same year Barry broke the single season home run record. But Rich Aurelia, as a shortstop, 206 hits, 37 homers, drove in 97 runs, hit 324, 146 OPS plus. That's just a monster year. And then otherwise, besides that, just a completely kind of forgettable production. But yeah, and also a good baseball name, Rich Aurelia.
Rich Aurelia, I think there's some really good trivia questions that circle around Rich Aurelia. I'm blanking what they are right now, but you can dupe your average baseball fans because I think everyone assumes it's Bonds or Jeff Kent from those Giants teams, but I think there's some good Rich Aurelia questions. I'll have to. Yeah,
it might be 200 hits and 35 homers in a season or something like that.
That's a huge year, man. That's a huge year. This is kind of nuts. Max Muncy has a career 13.1 WAR, so when our kids do this, he'll be picked by them.
Oh yeah, he'll be 1-1.
WAR is such a weird thing.
Especially when you do it this way and the versatility, all that.
So I stumbled into a guy for my final pick. I need a first baseman still. This guy's going to be a little before your time, but you guys probably know him because he's still around baseball. Aubrey Huff. No. I am going to take John Cruck. Cruck.
I like that.
Phillies legend. Man, again, where I think maybe offensive. Well, no. Career 300 hitter. 397 on base. 842 OPS. His 3 All-Star years were from age 30 to 32. Just like a professional hitter. Two 20-homer seasons, that's it. So, again, that probably wasn't appreciated as a first baseman at the time, but all-time baseball guy. I kind of stumbled into it because I didn't have a plan there, but John Cruck.
I think he's a great pick.
Thank you.
I like it. Fits the vibe well.
BBD?
Yeah, pitcher spot,
Right.
kind of toughest for me to, make a real big board about. I'm hesitant that there's going to be some big miss at the comments, or you guys are going to just immediately be like, "Oh, you should have gotten this guy." I was able to narrow it down to 2 guys that I'm excited to choose between. I was comparing them because they're similar, but one guy is just enough of a tick above this guy and everything as far as their 5-year peak numbers.
Okay.
But if you want to tell me he was too injured, I can pivot. I'm going to take Eric Bedard.
Oh, okay.
I love that pick.
Yeah, that's fun.
Eric Bedard was gross. Orioles Mariners? Did he do some
He had a Red
vagabond?
Sox year at the end, I think.
Did have a Red Sox year.
Red Sox, Pirates, Houston, and Tampa.
Okay, so he was a
he stuck around,
a pitching vagabond.
Stuck around for like 3 more years. But yeah.
Okay. Well, guys, that was fantastic. I'll go through the teams, and we'll probably make graphics and stuff and get it out tomorrow because this is really good stuff. BBD's final team: Jason Varitek behind the dish, Paul Konerko, Dan Ugla, Michael Young, Sean Figgins, Pat the Bat Burrell, Vernon Wells, Alex Rios, Raul Ibanez, and Eric Bedard on the bump. I have a couple fills, huh? Mike Lieberthal and John Cruck, Brian Dozier and Carlos Guillen, Edgardo Alfonso in the hot corner. In the outfield, Garrett Anderson, Marquise Grissom, Jermaine Dye, David Segee with Matt Kane on the hill. And then Foolish Baseball Bailey Freeman with Carlos Chuch Ruiz, Ryan Clasco, Brian Roberts, Rich Aurelia, Melvin Mora, Jason Bay, Michael Bourne, Bay and Bourne, how about that? Richard Hidalgo, Nick Johnson, and Ben Sheets on the rubber. Guys, this landed in a beautiful, beautiful place. Any names that jump out? I mean, it's what baseball's good at.
The other pitcher I was choosing between with Bedard was Ubaldo Jimenez, which name factor. I almost did it anyway, and I could have made a good Trevor Plouffe joke because he owned Trevor Plouffe. Another name that stuck out, I almost until I stumbled into more catchers. Mike Stanley was fairly high on my list. There's some Yankee stuff there, but and he technically started in the '80s, so I didn't want to do the debate on if he's legal.
For me, it was second base is insane. I'm just going to start reading off names. I mean, some of these guys weren't even candidates, but just like Jose Offerman was really good for a couple years. Let's see, who else is here? Mark Loretta, Mark McElmore, Marcus Giles, like Adam Kennedy,
Giles was on
Ronnie Belliard, Damian Easley, Brett Boone. Like, second base is just... We could do... I could do a full lineup of second basemen.
We could do this.
I had
again, getting just our top 5 second basemen from the era.
Fernando Vina.
See you in a couple weeks, Bailey.
Does he?
Oh yeah, Vina. Vina was really good.
That's a really good baseball player.
Yeah. I had Freddy Sanchez as my sort of second baseman that I thought would get picked, but then batting crown winner. I mean, what more can you say there?
That's the whole scouting report.
Yeah, that's all I have on him is he won a batting title.
Dude, second base, like Ricky Weeks. Second base is nuts. And there's so many guys. And
third base, there were a lot of options. Mike Lowell. I had Phil Nevin on my board. 40 homer season.
Hot.
Martin Prado.
Andre
Corey
Ethier.
is a fun name to say.
Andre Ethier popped
Ethier
up
I had.
me.
Prado I had.
Ethier was one of the first names I grabbed, but
what let me see. I think the only other thing we should run through for the people. Leave your comments. You're obviously going to have so many baseball players we missed because that's the beauty of baseball. I'm trying to see what other pitchers are right under that 30 WAR mark.
Yeah, I was looking at Alex Fernandez as a potential pitcher. I looked at him and Charles Johnson to get some like 97 Marlins representation.
Charles Johnson's good.
And then my kind of weird under the radar, like if I picked a pitcher, last pick was going to be actually Hisashi Iwakuma, who was just consistently good in MLB his whole career. So that would have been my pick.
The Flying Fish, was that a nickname or am I dreaming that?
I don't know if that was the nickname, but I'm going to say that is the nickname. You sounded so convincing.
Why do I
like
think that? Unless it's wrong. Some other pitchers that are jumping out. The one that just made me groan, Jared Washburn. Speaking of those Angels teams. My God. He was the definition of. Let me see. Any other pitchers that really jump out? Johnny Vandermeer, of course. Charles Nagy, Scott Erickson are great pitchers from that area. John Lieber. I think one time I was high. I messaged Bailey and I said, "Go check out John Lieber's stats." And Bailey was like, "Please, leave me alone, sir." But guys, this was fantastic. I think we need to wrap it up. We actually have to record.
I have one more
Scott
thing.
Kazmir.
And if I were to do it again, Kazmir I think was too hurt. If I were to do it again, I think I would have waited on Pat Burrell a little bit because I did have 3 left fielders that I would have been happy to end up with any of them between Pat Burrell, Jason Bay, and Josh Willingham.
Ooh, Willie.
I almost still took him as a DH guy, but then Ibanez kind of fell
Throw
in my
him
lap.
behind the dish. That would have been funny business. Would have been all about that. Andy Ashby. God. Does it get...
Yeah. I definitely think for like BBD's team, you know, he's so strong, and he, like you said, it's a fantasy baseball team. He has just so many homers and RBIs. And I think what he did that I liked at the end is he picked Bedard, who is just like a true strikeout pitcher, because his defense kind of stinks.
He knows his team.
If it's not hit to third.
And so he's just like, we don't want balls in play. We'll just get Eric Bedard. He'll strike out 10 per 9, you know?
Yeah, this that lineup looks eerily familiar. I might have to go dig through some old Yahoo accounts. God, some of these pitching names. John Danks. Hideo Nomo, that's a fun one. Guys, this was awesome. Bailey, thank you so much. Go check out all of Foolish Baseball stuff and Foolish Bailey on the YouTube machine. Go check out the merch.
too.
We've got John Boy Media. You guys already know. Compound, talking baseball. JJR, talking Yanks, talking Nets, talking Giants. Chris Rose rotation, everything. The breakdowns are pretty popular. Thank you guys. Leave some comments. Share with a friend. Leave some names. Have some fun. Thank you. Have a good weekend. Bake the algorithm.
Jake sucks.